What's up, skateboarders and future skateboarders? This is how to skateboard. So if you haven't already bought a board yet, don't waste your money on Walmart boards or Amazon boards. If you really feel like you're going to get into skateboarding, like skating ramps, doing flip tricks, stuff like that, then go to a skate shop and buy a good skateboard. If you don't think you're ever going to get into that kind of skateboarding, then get a longboard or some type of cruiser board, and you can just have fun cruising around. Those are going to be better for people who don't ever want to do tricks because they got big wheels, and they're better for just rolling around on rough ground. If you just want to cruise around your campus or your neighborhood, get some type of a cruiser board. All right, so you got your board. The first thing you need to know is how to fall. So many people get hurt when they first start skating and they never skate again. They put their board somewhere or just sell it or throw it away. The key to skateboarding is to get better without getting hurt. So you got to try not to fall on your straight arm like that, because that could cause you to break your arm. For me, I usually tighten up my shoulder and kind of turn it and kind of fall on my shoulder and my back. When I'm falling, a lot of people will turn all the way, pull their head up, kind of crouch their head down and fall on their butt and the lower part of their back. Wear pads at first. It doesn't matter if people don't think you're cool. Learning to skateboard at an indoor park with pads on is so much easier than learning to skateboard out in the streets. It's just a totally different experience. And once you've learned to skateboard at that indoor park with the pads and you can slide out of everything and knee slide out of everything, you've got the basics and you can take that to the street. I started skateboarding in the street. There were no indoor parks that I knew of anywhere when I was a kid and I was learning to skate. So I did learn to skate just in driveways and parking lots and out in the street, but it would have been easier for me to learn tricks faster, flip tricks and stuff like that, if I had a good indoor park and pads. So I never really wore pads as a kid. I just kind of messed around with my skateboard until I started learning to Ollie, learning to kickflip and stuff like that. So I never really got into wearing pads, but that would have definitely helped me. I mean, I've started wearing pads now in my adult life on vert, and it makes the vert ramp seem so much easier and less intimidating. So with skateboarding, the part of the board that you have to replace the most is the deck. If you have enough money to buy an extra deck along with your regular skateboard, and you can use that deck for carpet boarding, that's just skating on the carpet with no trucks and wheels, that can help you learn tricks like kick flips and shove-its way faster than just doing it on your regular board, because there's less chance that you'll get hurt and there's less effort involved. When you're learning to fall on a ramp, you want to have knee pads on. You want to go forward to your knees. You don't want to fall backwards and smack your head. So many people, when they learn to drop in, they lean too far back, smack the back of their head. They never want to skate ramps again. You have to really lean forward when you're first learning to drop in. So skateboarding is really difficult. Even though I've been skating for 30 years, I still have trouble with skateboarding sometimes. Sometimes I'm just like, this is so hard. Why did I ever start doing this? But it's really worth it because it is a lot of fun. And it's really rewarding. I get these little dopamine hits every time I land a trick. It does make me feel good about myself in a lot of ways, but also it makes me feel bad about myself sometimes. You know, it will really kick your butt sometimes. So if you really want to get into skateboarding, it's a lifelong commitment. It is something that you have to put a lot of effort into. All right, so now you got your board. You want to learn how to actually ride on it. You got to figure out if you're goofy-footed or regular-footed. Goofy-footed person will skate with their right foot forward. Regular-footed person will skate with their left foot forward. You don't want to push Mongo. So Mongo is when you have your back foot on the board and you're pushing with your front foot. It's less stable. You want to push the normal way with your front foot on the board and you're pushing with your back foot. That's kind of the first thing to learn. Before you throw your board down and jump on it or anything like that, you're learning to push. So you're stepping on the board with your front foot and then you're taking your back foot off, putting it down the ground, pushing, and then putting it back on the board. So your front foot's over the bolts, your back foot goes back over the back bolts or a little bit behind the back bolts on the tail. So after that, you've learned to push. The next thing you learn on a skateboard is a tic-tac. So you're lifting up your front wheels, putting your weight on the back wheels, and you're just going like this. It actually generates speed, which is pretty cool. So do that for a long time before you ever learn anything else. Wear comfortable, loose clothes. These look like jeans, but they're actually pajama pants with jean print printed on them. And then I've just got a baggy sweatshirt, you know, really baggy clothes work good so you can move. I mean, oh, I got my keys in my pocket. I didn't know that. All right, so find a big parking lot or driveway somewhere where nobody's gonna bother you. You can be alone to practice this stuff. After that, you wanna learn how to stop. So the first way you'd learn how to stop on a skateboard is you're going and you take your back foot off and you just set it down the ground. Second way you'd learn to stop, putting all your weight in your back foot on the tail. That's gonna give you razor tail, so you probably shouldn't do that. After you've gotten a lot better, the third way to stop is to power slide. That's just to kind of push your back wheels forward and stop like that. All right, so after you've learned to stop, the next thing you need to do is to learn how to jump onto your board. So to do this, hold on to the nose. You can kind of take some steps and then lay it down about this low. Your tail is hitting the ground, dragging, making that noise. Your front arm is totally extended. And then you're taking a few steps and then you're taking your front foot, putting it on, stepping on the board, and just going. I've got a whole video about this where I go into more detail, but really it's just about fully extending that front hand, jumping on the board. You don't want to go to a skate park until you know at least all of these things. You want to be comfortable on your board because if not, you might get hurt. So yeah, I would just stick with that stuff for a long time until I'm really comfortable on my board. Maybe a few months of just pushing, skating around. And then you can start learning to ollie, shove it, stuff like that. Shove it can be easier sometimes if you don't pop it. If you're just hanging your toes off on your back foot, scooping it around, pushing your front foot forward, just doing a shove it with no ollie. So I've got ollie tutorials that can teach you how to ollie, but you should do that. Just do ollies for a while. Ollie up curbs, ollie down curbs. Just ollie and skate around town for a little while before you learn to do kick flips or anything else. So one of the most common injuries in skateboarding is a rolled ankle or a broken ankle. So to avoid that, you want shoes that are very thin on the sole. It doesn't matter if the top's thin. I'm talking about the bottom of the shoe. You want a lot of board feel and a thin sole. So if you have a really thick sole and you land on the side of your foot, it could sprain your ankle. But if you have a really thin sole and you land on the side of your foot, it's so thin it just kind of goes back down. So test your shoes out, make sure they're good for skating. That's the most important thing because that's what you're using is your feet. If you do take it slow and avoid injury, you might not progress as fast as somebody who's just going for stuff, but you're going to be better than them at skating in the long run because you're not going to get hurt. And getting hurt is going to take you back farther than not pushing yourself as much. So yeah, take it slow. Make sure you're not doing anything that you're going to get hurt on. If you're afraid to do it, you're really afraid to do it, just don't do it. Do something else until you are comfortable doing that trick. I mean, there is an extent that you have to do things that you are afraid of because you haven't done any of this stuff before. So, I mean, there is a little bit of that, but you can tell, like, personally, if you've progressed, you know, you don't want to push yourself past your own personal limits. Everybody's got different personal limits. Some people are naturally athletic and some people are just not naturally athletic. Another thing is I think people skate boards that are too small for them. I mean, this is a 9.25. I measure 11.5 on a Brannick for shoes. And yeah, I'm comfortable with this. I think if your feet are hanging off way too much, it's not going to be comfortable to skate and learn tricks, and your balance is going to be worse. Another thing is the wheelbase. This has a 15-inch wheelbase. The wider the wheelbase, the farther the trucks are away from each other, the easier it is to balance. Kind of like a longboard, how it's just so much easier to balance on a longboard. It's the same kind of thing. And a penny board is really hard to balance on, for me. So yeah, that's basically how you skate. Now you just have to watch all my other videos to learn more advanced tricks. I've got a few videos with some basic tricks though, so check those out. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you start skating. Skateboarding is a lot of fun. It's definitely hard. Takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, but I know you guys can do it. So if you guys like this kind of content, scroll through my page, look at all my other videos. I've got a bunch of different tutorials, a lot of beginner tutorials, how to ollie, how to kick flip, stuff like that. So check that out. Hit the subscribe button because I've got a lot more videos to come. Thanks for watching.